What is up, everybody on YouTube? I got a little something here. Check it out. It's a 1996 LT4. That's right, LT4. So that means it's a manual. Pretty sweet. Okay, so this belongs to one of my followers. And he was telling me if I can check it out, but he couldn't even drive it here. It just did not turn on. I told him about some little tricks you can do to turn it on, but it just wouldn't turn over. And so my job is to figure out what's going on with the car, why it's not running, and fix it, replace all these parts. And maybe you guys are having some problem with your cars, your C4s. So I just wanted to make this video so you guys can see what I would do to diagnose a C4. He did have a water leak once, and they took care of that. And now it's having some problems. This piece right here is wet. This goes into the Opti-Spark. It's also wet inside the connector for the Opti-Spark. It's wet inside of there. But I guess it made its way down, and that's messing with the signal. And by the way, this seal right here, it's no good. It's loose. It was wet inside, and I just dried this. It was super wet. This is all original, by the way. This harness and the Opti is original, but hopefully it's just the connector. And but yeah, 1996 original Opti. And with the water leak that he had a while ago, you can see it's really kind of gunky in there. It's kind of moist. After a while, it probably did just, you know, finish this harness up. And we're hoping the Opti is still okay, because they are pretty sealed. And then these 95 and 96 Optis are vented, so they can last a long time, even with water inside, by the way. Once this is totally dry and it's still not working, if not, the Opti is going to have to come out. There are other things I did go through. One piece I did replace so far is this hose right here for the fuel canister purge line. All the way down here was totally rotted, so I replaced that. It's 5/16 fuel grade. This is the original one. It feels like paper, guys. This throttle position sensor is still working. We took it out and it's still rotating, and that could also be an issue why your car might idle really bad or eventually die on you. Sometimes the spring doesn't return them all the way, so it makes the car think it has, like, you know, a lot of throttle or half throttle. And when you try to crank it, it actually won't pulse the injectors while you're cranking it, so it just won't start on you guys. That's another area for you guys to check. I did check that it has some spark. Put it in there already. It's good to go. This piece, I did replace it. This is the fuel pressure regulator. So I got this new one here. This is the part number 800-204, and they're around like 75 bucks. You guys can probably tell this car is really dirty, but it's just messy. A lot of it is still original and in very good condition. And if I do have to take out this Opti, of course I have to remove a bunch of things up here. I will remove this and a bunch of other things. I will start restoring a lot of these pieces so the car can look a lot better. I just put everything back together, and now I'm gonna go ahead and try to give it a shot. Okay. Clutch in. I'm gonna pump prime the lines a little bit. Here's the little bit of almost like a backfire. No, still nothing. Guys, could it be the Opti-Spark? You know, at one point my Corvette did have a really bad harness connector on into the Opti-Spark, and also the Opti-Spark was just done for. They do last a while wet because they are vented, but after a while they kind of just give out, and I think it was just time for this one to go. It's the original Opti-Spark and harness, so it's not bad. 27 years. So we're just gonna move on to doing the Opti-Spark. I did check other areas for ignition. Ignition coil is running. The coil is good, so it's not much else. The grounds are good. Everything should be working. There's a couple more things I can check, and I'll do that in a bit. But yeah, pretty much this means the Opti-Spark just isn't firing correctly, and we're gonna replace it. This piece right here, right there. This one is a sensor for your coolant temperature. You have another one right here. It's somewhere in here on the head, and that's the one that actually marks. You can see it in the dash, but don't trust the one on the dash. That one. Always listen to the one that's on the digital display. A lot of people even disconnect that sensor. You don't even need it. Okay, so this is one of the hoses I was telling you guys about, and only the 1996 has this piece right here. Otherwise, this piece right here would just be moved right here, and basically the same hoses and connectors would be attached to this piece. But this is the one that I replaced. It goes into the fuel canister line way back there in the car. This piece right here also needs to be replaced. It's rotting out as well, and I'm ordering everything he needs. Some of these parts are special ordered, back ordered. I'm hoping everything arrives in time. Look at this seal, it's just stretched out as well. It's dry enough. So what I'm going to do now is, first of all, you gotta move all of these sensors out of the way, and I'm going to drop off coolant from here and here. So I'm going to remove all of this, removing that water pump out of the way. And I do have to put something down there so all the water won't just leak. That will be this oil container. Just pour it in here. Well, funny enough, he actually didn't even lose any coolant off of all that. Here's the top radiator hose. Here's the other one. So I'm going to remove this piece here. And there's the lower one right here as well. And then, of course, if he doesn't lose any then that's kind of questionable about his cooling system. Check out what I just found. I'm trying not to get my camera dirty. Anyway, this is a crank position sensor. Only 1996 has this. It's It's totally wet inside. Look how gunky it is. It's wet and oily. Okay, I think the Opti-Spark is has been getting wet for a very long time. Okay, now that I got all the hoses out of the way, I can use this to loosen this tensioner pulley and remove this belt. Now get your size 14, and we have 3 bolts, one here, and one on the bottom. Same thing on this side. This side is harder to reach, especially because all of these vacuum lines. Everything here is so tight. That side is going to be so messed up to get. Okay, in order to take this bolt out, the one that's in the middle, it's hidden right in there. This is all in the way. So you have to remove this pulley. You can move these around. There's some bolts in there. There's like, I forget how many. It's a bracket with like 5 bolts. And when you push this out of the way, you can move these out of the way. And then fit this, maybe with an extension in this area. Now he doesn't have any AC on this car, so I will be removing all of this, and then I can pull this out even easier. We are getting an electric water pump, so it's going to be like even wider or further out, so it'll be even easier without this piece. I'm also just going to remove the AC compressor and the alternator to kind of just freshen them up. Okay, I could have just used one of these. I like to call this like a toothbrush. I don't know, kind of looks like a toothbrush to me. Now you can see it's pretty much free, and you can get your wrench in there now, but these cables are still like in the way. It's really hard to see, but the bolt is inside there. If I can hit it with this. So you should pull these lines out of the way. Just now that this pulley is out of the way, you can get your wrench in there. Barely. Okay, find your big ass wrench and loosen these. Okay, this is all ready to come out. What I like to do to remove this harmonic balancer is I like to grab this 1/2-inch drive with the short socket, 5/8, and I also like to use the 3/8 drive with the 5/8, the longer socket, and this one I'm going to use to rotate the crank. Probably use something like this as like a breaker bar to help you rotate it easier. Spark plugs are still on there, so it's kind of hard to turn over. Now that I can fit this on the bolt here, if you just try turning it with your hand, you're just going to move this crank more and more, and you're not going to be able to reach that bolt anymore. So to loosen it real quick, just use like a rubber mallet. There we go. Now to get the other bolt, check this out. I'm barely like touching around here, and he's got her. I'm also doing a front main seal, so I have to take the timing cover off. Okay, I lost the audio on this next section, but anyway, you see me leaving a wrench on one side. That's because I already hit that side with this tool right here. It's a bushing remover tool. And what you want to do is once you open one side up, you can leave a wrench or something like a spacer. And then you can start hitting the other side with that wedge. Use like a hammer or like a sledgehammer or like a mallet. Just don't hit too hard. And this is a quick and easy and dirty way of taking these pulleys out. You don't want to hit too hard because it is a dirty way. You will scratch up your Opti-Spark, but don't hit too hard. I don't know if you can break it or something, but you want to alternate the bushing remover tool and the wrench a couple of times, and eventually you'll be able to start hitting each side with only the tool, the bushing tool, until the Opti-Spark falls out. And right here I'm explaining how sometimes you can't get this pulley out. You can move the those ears right there on the crank hub. You can rotate it, and you can probably fit the pulley out, but sometimes you can't. And what you can do is you can go under the car and undo the engine mount bolts or nuts, lift the engine, and the pulley will come out pretty easily. Okay, so I'm underneath the car now, and as you can see, there's not a lot of room, but the engine mounts, the bolts are right here. You can actually see one of them right there, and on the other side you'll see the other one, and I believe it's a size 17, so, and they torque to 45 or 47 foot-pounds if you put them back on. I just take these off. I have jacks on so I can lower this. Next, what I will do is this oil pan right here. I'm gonna put some, like a 2x4 and a towel, and I will lift this oil pan, and the engine should go up a good amount. This is what you gotta do to put a cam in, by the way, so it's a neat little trick. God. Okay, by the way, this is actually a size 18. I gotta keep going over and over. Get a ratchet, guys. It's not that hard. That's one bolt. So here's our old Opti. And as you can see, it's really gunky and all that. Wet. For some reason, these O-rings, there should be 2 little O-rings right there. They were missing. I probably dropped it on the cross member or something when I pulled it out, but they're not even on the cam. I couldn't find them, so that's kind of weird. I guess they just deteriorated over time. And by the way, this water pump housing, I inspected it and I can see the impeller in here. That's the weep hole. It's totally opened. So no wonder it didn't have any water on top. Wonder how long he's been running it like this, but it's been leaking the water coolant from down here for God knows how long. And for me to do the mods for the electric water pump, you can still use the old damaged water pump housing. You'll just need to cover this right here, tap and die in a bolt with some JB weld. You need to take out this impeller, so open this up, take out the original impeller, and on the engine, well, on the timing cover, take the intake out, remove this gear that drives the water pump, and then you're gonna put a quarter in there. Well, it's like a $50, some JB weld. So I have to remove this timing chain cover as well, and to do that you have to remove this crank hub, which is not the most fun thing to do. It's a job in and of itself. When you take off the timing cover, you might need to take out the oil pan as well and get a new oil pan gasket with the Felpro, because when you put this timing cover back on, it's not gonna seal with the bottom part, which is the oil pan, and you'll have a big leak. Either way, I have to remove this timing chain cover because this is leaking a crazy amount of oil. So there's a little sleeve I'll show you guys later that you can buy. It's like a spacer that will keep it from leaking oil, and I do have to re-seal each and one of these with new seals. This one connects to the AC compressor and alternator, and since I'm going to remove them first, I'm going to take this plate out of the way so that I could get to these bolts a little bit easier. Okay, this is where I would disconnect the battery finally. I'm not going to show this next part, but I will be removing that bolt inside of there, right there, and that's so that I can get this pulley loose, because I will be removing it. Remember how I said I was going to try to clean this up as much as I can, and so the reason why I'm taking off this and this down there so I can loosen this, I'm taking off all these pulleys, all of them, and this bracket as well, this huge bracket, along with a bunch of other things, because I'm going to try to clean it up as much as possible. Like I said, probably won't come out this clean, but I'll try to do the best I can. I am doing this kind of as a favor a little bit, so it's going to be a lot of hard work, but they'll get there. So I still need this one right here. It's tight space, so taking these out of the way just makes things a lot easier. And when I pull this throttle body assembly out, I will also loosen this piece right here and just move this all out of the way as well. And then I can work on the spark plugs a little bit easier too. Steering wheel pump pulley, and you just unclamp it from here, and the line goes around here. You won't really lose much. You might spill some, and it's okay. It's really easy to just top it off. Okay, so I forgot to loosen this nut. Okay, I can see all the fluid now. Probably gonna put a towel on the bottom side right now when I split it apart. Check out all this gunk. That was just like 1 second of running my finger across there, so golly. Don't forget to label all your nuts and brackets and stuff. For example, engine mount nuts. Got my baggies. Put everything where you'll find it easiest the next time, so that it will be real easy to find everything, because I have lost a bunch of nuts on that car. Well, I put some new ones on there, but you don't want to keep losing them. I think I'm gonna stop the video right here on this part because it's getting pretty long, and next I'll be doing the intake manifold and the timing chain cover and the crank, which a lot of people have trouble taking that out and reinstalling it. So I'm gonna show you guys a trick to make it easy. Anyway, see you guys on the next episode for this LT4 1996, getting it back in running shape.